The K20A makes 220 horsepower, it revs to 400 RPM, VTEC kicks in at 6,000 and changes everything. But there's a whole world of secrets hiding inside Honda's greatest four-cylinder that even die-hard enthusiasts don't know about. Engineering decisions that saved the engine from being cancelled, production quirks that made some K20A significantly better than others, and one modification Honda's own engineers did to their personal cars that the company refused to make standard. Let's get into it. Number 12, the K20A was almost cancelled 3 times. Honda almost killed the program before a single engine was built. 3 separate times during development. Accountants tried to cancel it because the projected costs were too high and the market seemed too small. The first cancellation attempt came in 1996 when initial development costs exceeded projections by 40%. Honda's finance department argued that spending this much on a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder made no sense when competitors were going turbocharged. The engine team convinced management to continue by promising the technology would spread across Honda's entire lineup, justifying the investment. The second attempt came in 1998 when crash test regulations changed, requiring the Integra Type R to add weight for side impact protection. Finance argued the added weight would kill performance, making the expensive engine pointless. The chassis team saved it by finding ways to remove weight elsewhere, keeping the power-to-weight ratio acceptable. The third cancellation attempt came in 1999, just months before production start. Honda's US division argued that Americans wouldn't pay premium prices for a naturally aspirated engine when the WRX was coming with turbocharger and all-wheel drive. The program survived because the Japanese market didn't care what Americans thought. If any of those 3 cancellation attempts had succeeded, the K20A would never have existed. We'd remember Honda for the B series and nothing more. Number 11, some K20As made significantly more power than others. Not all K20As were created equal. Production variations meant some engines made legitimately more power than others, even when completely stock and measured under identical conditions. Independent Eye in 2003 revealed a spread of 11 horsepower between the weakest and strongest K20A engines tested. All were stock. All were from the same model. Year Integra Type R DC5. All were measured on the same dyno within weeks of each other. The strongest made 241 horsepower at the crank, the weakest made 230. Both were within Honda's manufacturing tolerances, but that 11 horsepower spread was significant enough that owners could feel the difference. The variation came from 3 sources. First, valve seat depth varied by up to 3 mr depending on which production line machined the head. Deeper seats meant slightly less compression and slightly less power. Second, piston ring end gap varied within tolerance affecting cylinder sealing and power output. Third, ECU programming had minor variations based on when the ECU was manufactured and what software version it received. Honda never acknowledged this publicly, but internal documents leaked in 2007 confirmed they knew about the power variation and considered it acceptable because all engines exceeded the advertised 220 horsepower rating. If you bought a K20A and it felt stronger than your friend's identical car, you weren't imagining it. You might have genuinely gotten a better engine from the factory lottery. Number 10. The intake manifold was designed for a different engine. The K20A's intake manifold wasn't originally designed for the K2A. It was developed for a 3L V6 that Honda cowled before production. When the V6 program died, the intake manifold engineering was too good to waste, so they adapted it for the K2A. This explains why the K2A's intake manifold is so oversized compared to other 2L4 cylinders. The runners are longer and wider than typical, because they were designed for larger displacements and different cylinder spacing. Honda's engineers had to modify the runner length and add the variable length mechanism to make it work with the fork cylinder. But this accident created an advantage. The oversized intake manifold gave the K20A better top-end breathing than if it had been designed specifically for 2L. The engine made more power above 7,000 RPM because the intake could flow more air than competitors expected from a 2L. The downside was cost. The intake manifold was expensive to manufacture because of its size and the variable length mechanism. Honda's accountants hated it, but the engineering team refused to change it because the performance was too good to sacrifice. This is why K20A intake manifolds are popular swaps onto other K-series engines. They were over-engineered by accident and deliver performance benefits Honda never intended. Number 9. Honda's engineers modified their personal K20As the same way. Honda engineers who worked on the K20A program modified their personal cars identically. Not similar modifications, identical. The same 3 parts on every car, installed the same way, tuned the same way. First modification, aftermarket intake from a specific Japanese manufacturer that Honda never publicly named. This wasn't a random choice. The intake was designed by a former Honda engineer who understood exactly how the K20A's airflow worked and built an intake optimized specifically for it. Second modification, exhaust header with equal length runners and specific primary tube diameter. Again from a manufacturer connected to Honda's engineering department. The header was designed using data from the K2A development program that wasn't public. Third modification, ECU reflash that raised the redline to 800 RPM and optimized fuel and ignition timing. This reflash was developed internally at Honda by engineers who knew the engine's true limits, then leaked to a tuning company that sold it commercially. These 3 modifications combined added 28 horsepower and extended the power band significantly. Honda's own engineers knew the engine could handle this safely and deliver better performance, but corporate wouldn't approve it for production because it would increase costs and potentially cannibalize sales of more expensive models. The engineers modified their personal cars to experience what the K20A should have been from the factory, and they all chose the exact same parts because they knew from internal testing what actually worked versus what was just marketing. Number 8. The timing chain was over-designed by 300%. Honda designed the K20A's timing chain to handle 3 times the stress it would ever experience in normal operation. This wasn't conservative engineering. This was deliberate over-design based on lessons from previous engines. The B-series engines had timing chain issues in high-mileage applications. Chains would stretch slightly, causing timing drift and performance loss. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to bother Honda's engineers, who took reliability personally. For the K20A, they designed a timing chain system that could handle 900 horsepower and 10,000 RPM before approaching failure limits. The stock engine made 220 horsepower and redlined at 400. That's 300% safety margin. This explains why K20A timing chains last 300,000 plus miles without service. They're not wearing out because they're nowhere near their design limits. You could triple the engine's power output and the timing chain would still be fine. It also explains why forced induction K20A builds can make 400 plus horsepower on stock timing chains without issues. The chain was designed for loads that the stock engine never produces, so adding a turbocharger doesn't push it beyond design limits. Honda's accountants questioned this over-design during development. Why spend extra money on a timing chain this strong? The engineer's response was simple: because timing chain failure is unacceptable, and we refuse to design something that might fail. Number 7. VTEC engagement point varies by temperature. The VTEC engagement point on the 20A isn't fixed at 6,000 RPM. It varies based on oil temperature, and most owners because the variation is subtle but consistent. When oil temperature is below 60 degrees C, EV engages at 6,200 RPM. The ECU delays engagement because cold oil flows slower, and engaging when insufficient oil pressure could damage the mechanism. At normal operating temperature 80 to 90 degrees C, IV engages at exactly 6,000 RPM is advertised. When oil temperature exceeds, which happens during hard track use, IVT engagement drops to 5,800 RPM. The ECU advances it because hot oil flows faster, allowing safe engagement at lower RPM. This adaptive engagement is why the K20A feels slightly different on cold mornings versus hot track days. The engine is adjusting IVTEC's timing based on conditions to optimize performance while protecting components. Honda never advertised this feature because it's complex to explain and customers might misunderstand it as inconsistency. But it's sophisticated engineering that adapts to real-world conditions rather than operating on fixed parameters regardless of circumstances. Track day regulars who pay attention notice that VTEC feels earlier and more aggressive as sessions progress. That's not imagination. That's the ECU adapting to oil temperature and advancing engagement point. Number 6. The cylinder head castings came from 2 different foundries. Honda sourced K20A cylinder head castings from 2 different foundries in Japan, and the castings were slightly different. Same design, same specifications, but different enough that experienced engine builders could tell them apart. The first foundry, located in Suzuka, produced heads with slightly rougher port surfaces, but better material consistency. The second foundry in Takiji produced heads with smoother port surfaces, but occasional minor porosity in the casting. Neither difference affected performance or reliability in stock form. Both foundries met Honda's specifications, but when engines were modified, the differences became apparent. Heads from the Suzuka foundry responded better to porting because the material was denser and more consistent. Engine builders could remove more material aggressively without risking thin spots or breakthrough. Toigi heads required more careful porting because of occasional porosity that wasn't visible until material was removed. You can identify which foundry cast your head by a small mark on the intake side. Suzuka heads have a small S near the oil filler. Toigi heads have a small T in the same location. Most owners never notice these marks, but engine builders check them before starting port work. Honda used 2 foundries to ensure production capacity could meet demand. Neither foundry was better or worse overall, just different in ways that only mattered during modification. Number 5. Honda tested the K20A at 12,000 development. Honda tested K20A prototypes at 12,000 RPM to determine the absolute mechanical limits. The engine survived. Valvetrain stayed stable. No catastrophic failures. They could have built a 12,000 RPM production engine if they wanted, but they didn't. They limited it to 8,400 RPM in production, then 8,200 in later emissions-compliant versions. Why? Because going higher offered diminishing returns and increased costs for components that would never be fully utilized. The 12,000 RPM testing proved the basic architecture was sound and had massive overhead. This gave Honda confidence to approve the engine for production, knowing it would never approach mechanical limits in customer hands. It also informed the aftermarket. When tuners started building high RPM K20A engines, Honda's testing data leaked through former engineers who joined tuning companies. They knew the engine could safely handle 9,000 to 10,000 RPM with appropriate valve train upgrades because Honda had already tested beyond that. The 12,000 RPM testing is why race K20A is running 9,500 RPM dump grenade. The fundamental design was validated at higher speeds than anyone uses, confirming the architecture has headroom that production versions never access. Number 4. The piston coatings were Formula One technology. The K20A's piston skirts use a molybdenum coating developed for Honda's Formula One program. This wasn't marketing. This was literal technology transfer from F1 to production cars, something that rarely happens because F1 technology is usually too expensive for mass production. The molybdenum coating reduces friction between piston and cylinder wall, allowing tighter tolerances without increasing wear. This coating technology cost Honda millions to develop for F1, and they used the K20A program to justify advertising those development costs across production engines. The coating allows the K20A to run tighter piston-to-wall clearances than competitors, which improves sealing and reduces blow-by. This contributes to the engine's lack of oil consumption and consistent compression over hundreds of thousands of miles. It also allows the engine to rev higher safely. The reduced friction means less heat generation at high RPM, keeping piston temperatures within safe limits even during sustained high-speed operation. Honda never advertised this feature because explaining molybdenum coating technology to customers was difficult and competitors would copy it. But it's documented in internal Honda technical materials and confirmed by metallurgical analysis of K20A pistons. This F1 technology is why K20A pistons last longer than competitors' pistons despite higher operating speeds and stresses. Honda applied racing technology to a production engine and actually made it work. Number 3. Some K20As have different connecting rods. Not all K20As use the same connecting rods. Production changes in 2004 introduced updated rods that were slightly stronger, and Honda never announced the change publicly. The original K rods from 2001 to 2003 were forged and shot-peened, strong enough for stock applications and moderate modifications. The updated rods from 2004 onward received additional heat treatment that increased fatigue strength by approximately 15%. Honda made this change after some high-mileage engines in Japan showed minor connecting rod-bearing wear beyond what they expected. The wear wasn't causing failures, but it bothered Honda's engineers who demanded improvement. You can identify updated rods by weight. Original rods weigh 532 g. Updated rods weigh 528 g. The weight reduction came from optimizing the forging process and removing material that stress analysis showed wasn't necessary. For stock engines, the difference is irrelevant. Both rods are more than adequate. For modified engines making serious power, the updated rods are preferable. Engine builders specifically seek 2004 and later K20A engines for builds because of the stronger connecting rods. Honda's silence about this change means most K20A owners don't know which rods they have unless they disassemble the engine and weigh them. Number 2. The ECU contains hidden diagnostic modes. The K20A's ECU has hidden diagnostic modes that Honda technicians use during production but never documented for customers. These modes allow deep analysis of engine operation that normal diagnostic tools can't access. Mode 1 displays real-time IVT engagement timing with millisecond precision, useful for diagnosing VTEC system issues that don't trigger check engine lights. Mode 2 shows individual cylinder contribution to total power output. This reveals cylinder-to-cylinder variations that indicate issues with compression, fuel delivery, or ignition before they become serious problems. Mode 3 monitors oil pressure at the VTEC solenoid. Specifically, the ECU knows what oil pressure should be at any RPM and load combination. Deviations indicate oil system problems before they cause damage. Mode 4 records peak RPM achieved since the last ECU reset. This was designed to help Honda engineers understand how customers actually use their engines during warranty claims. Accessing these modes requires a specific button sequence on the ECU connector while the key is in specific positions. The procedure was documented in Honda's internal service manuals, but never made public. It leaked through technicians who left Honda and joined the aftermarket. These hidden modes explain why some Honda specialists can diagnose K20A problems that other shops can't find. They're accessing diagnostic data that's hidden from normal tools. Number 1. Honda built a destroyed version that never reached production. Honda developed a 1.8L destroyed version of the K20A that made 210 horsepower and revved to 9,200 RPM. It was fully engineered, tested, and approved for production. Then it was cancelled at the last minute for reasons that had nothing to do with the engine. The Destro K20A used shorter stroke and revised pistons to reduce displacement while maintaining the K20A's architecture. The reduced stroke allowed higher RPM operation because piston speeds were lower. Peak power was maintained through the higher red line and revised cam timing. Honda built this engine for weight-sensitive applications where the smaller displacement and reduced reciprocating mass created advantages. The target application was a lightweight sports car that was also cancelled, killing the engine program with it. Approximately 50 K20A engines were built for testing and pre-production validation. After the program cancellation, Honda destroyed most of them, but several were retained in their heritage collection, and at least 2 were confirmed sold to Honda employees who worked on the program. The K20A proves the K20A architecture could have been scaled down successfully while maintaining performance. It also represents Honda's willingness to invest in naturally aspirated development even when the market was moving toward forced induction. If the K20A had reached production, it would have been the highest revving Honda production engine ever, exceeding even the S2000's 9,000 RPM red line. We lost something special when that program was cancelled. What this really means: these 12 secrets reveal the K20A wasn't just a good engine, it was an engine designed with obsessive attention to detail, over-engineered deliberately, and developed with technology and resources that Honda has never applied to another fork cylinder before or since. The 3 cancellation attempts prove Honda almost killed their greatest engine because accountants couldn't see beyond immediate costs. The production variations show even tight manufacturing tolerances create measurable differences. The intake manifold accident demonstrates how sometimes the best solutions come from repurposing existing work. The engineer's identical modifications prove Honda's own people knew the engine could be better, but corporate priorities prevented it. The 300% timing chain over-designed Honda's refusal to accept potential failure. The adaptive VTEC timing demonstrates sophisticated programming most owners never notice. The dual foundry castings reveal production complexity hidden from customers. The 12,000 RPM testing proves the architecture had headroom nobody expected. The Formula 1 piston coatings show technology transfer that actually worked. The connecting rod changes demonstrate continuous improvement without publicity. The hidden ECU modes reveal diagnostic capabilities Honda kept secret. And the cancelled K20A proves Honda was willing to develop variants that never saw production, wasting millions in development costs because the business case collapsed. The K20A represents what Honda could build when engineering excellence was the priority and accountants couldn't stop it in time. Every secret here shows decisions made for performance, reliability, and engineering integrity rather than cost optimization. That's why the K20A remains legendary 20+ years after introduction, because the secrets reveal an engine developed with resources, technology, and commitment that modern Honda would never approve. We got lucky that 3 cancellation attempts failed and this engine reached production at all. That's 12 things you didn't know about the K20A. Secrets that even die-hard enthusiasts miss. Engineering decisions that made this engine special. Which secret surprised you most? Did you know your K20A might have better connecting rods than someone else's? Drop a comment below. This is the JDM Engine Archive. We'll see you in the next